Look, guys, I'm going to be brutally honest here today. The world is absolutely doomed without authentic, secure masculinity. The world right now is not suffering from too much masculinity or toxic masculinity. That is wrong. It's an absence of masculinity that is ruining things for us. There are a lot of fake men out there, immature men, what I call immature masculinity, juvenile masculinity. And until men return to their authentic, masculine selves with full, mature, secure masculinity, things are going to keep getting worse. But the good news is that if men choose to step forward and claim their place in this world, we can turn this thing around. Not just having men throw themselves into a global meat grinder, like throw your life away so other people get better, but men, your lives will get better, and also the people's lives around you will also get better. Okay? Masculinity is the way. I am Adam Lane Smith. I am the attachment specialist. I've got 15 years of training and experience in psychology. I was a licensed marriage and family therapist for very many years. Now I coach, I teach people about relationships and about good attachment. I am here today to talk to you about the power of masculinity. Now, the good news is that we are starting to see the ship turn in a number of places, which I'm going to show you here today, and that's going to be your white pill for the day. We're also going to define clearly what masculinity means for the world as a whole, and why even some big-name celebrities who made their fortune rejecting secure masculinity are now turning around and embracing it, right? So all men out there who are looking for deeper purpose and fulfillment in their lives, you can embrace your masculinity to create order and stability in your own life. This video will show you how. Let's get right into it. Now, is masculinity important? Really good question, right? Pew Research says that only 9% of men say that masculinity is very important to them. Now, that's 23% of black men in America and 7% of white men in America. So it's broken down by what we could consider race, but is probably more about subcultures, even here within the United States. More masculine subcultures versus less masculine subcultures. Subcultures that even push down masculinity, right? But when you widen it to at least somewhat important, that masculinity is at least somewhat important to me, in this Pew Research, more men agree. A total of 46% of all men agree with this. And that number is 51%, for example, if you only look at conservative men. Now, more Pew Research states that an average of 60% of Americans think that looking up to masculine men is a positive thing. That's 78% of Republicans, and even 49% of Democrats agree on this. Even almost half of Democrats still agree that looking up to masculine men is a positive thing. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the last few decades, you know that the media in the West portrays masculinity as evil, abusive, monstrous, denying of consent, right? Enslaving. Even the American Psychiatric Association recently released guidelines stomping on men, essentially, calling on practitioners to reduce their patients' focus on being masculine in an effort to stomp out what they called toxic masculinity. Now, newsflash for all of you, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There is fake masculinity or absent masculinity or juvenile masculinity, but there's no toxic masculinity. Okay. Now, here's a shocker for you. A study in 2023 of this year concluded that the negative narrative being spread by mainstream media is having a massive negative effect on men's mental health and mental well-being. Stunning, right? I grew up in California in the public school system. I remember that they told us men are bad, only girls are good. Women should rule the world, men are destroying it. I remember that being the lesson in public school. I remember it being the lesson in university. Shocking that that would have a problem on men's mental health, right? Now, there's plenty of books that have written which document the so-called war on men, war on masculinity. Even if we don't take this as a concerted effort, the trend is still clear. And it's not improving. Masculinity is being stomped down all over the place. Now, something really important that nobody wants to talk about, that the opponents of masculinity ignore, are the positive elements of real, healthy masculinity. Like how men are usually the first into danger to save lives. Okay? Think about the fact that most first responders are men. Who do you see when floods happen, carrying people out of the floods? Okay? They want to ignore images of male firefighters charging into burning buildings to rescue injured children, scared children, right? They want to forget the image of loving fathers who raise their children. Have we so soon forgotten the overwhelmingly male 9/11 heroes that we once held up as role models of fierce protectiveness over the people they served? Now, yes, there were female 9/11 heroes. I don't want to erase them. And yes, women are positive and loving. Many of them are. But we need to understand that masculinity brings protectiveness. That there are more good men than toxic, right? The good news is that the world is waking up to our fierce need for masculinity. Now, here's a funny one, and this is pretty funny. TikTok, like the hotbed, right, of anti-masculinity. TikTok trends are calling for greater masculine energy in men because women are exhausted from being in their masculine energy. I post videos sometimes. I'm like, hey, why do women do this thing? Hey, what's this problem? Hey, what's this? And the comment sections are packed with women saying, we are exhausted. We are fed up. Men need to be in their masculine. TikTok. Exhausted modern women in the younger generations are begging men to come back to the table and be masculine again, to take both responsibility and leadership in relationships. Even more juvenile versions of masculinity are now growing into mature masculinity. Okay, guys, this is happening even in red pill spaces. Let's talk for a minute about Sneeko. He was once famous for his red pill connections, red pill statements. I saw a video of him and his buddy laughing about bitches and how you scam them into sex by making jokes and just love bombing them. I've seen these material. I'm sure you guys have as well if you know Sneeko. He recently denounced the red pill. He also called on Fresh and Fit to wake up from the red pill crap that they're slinging, right? The guys who used to walk in lockstep with each other, making fun of women, scamming women, pushing them for promiscuous sex, all of a sudden, maybe it's not what they were looking for anymore. Even the king, right, of what I would consider juvenile masculinity. Not calling him juvenile, but juvenile masculinity. Andrew Tate, right? Once held up as the model of swaggering masculinity in a juvenile form. Recently admitted maybe he's been wrong about love. They asked him if he would ever consider marriage. He said, you know what? Maybe you do need to roll the dice on love. Maybe there is something there about love, right? He's taking a second look at what he might have missed. I applaud this. I applaud this. Okay? Now, juvenile masculinity. Juvenile masculinity is a rebirth of masculinity. Okay? It almost died off here in the West, especially in America. It was guarded by women who were hyper-masculine for a couple generations. And then it started coming out from that shadow. Child masculinity then grew into juvenile masculinity and pushed back and said, no, we want to be men. Pickup artists, red pills, men's rights activists, juvenile masculinity, angry teenagers not wanting to be controlled by mom anymore. Understood. It's not that they were respectable. It's also not that they were bad people. But it was a juvenile masculinity emerging toward adulthood, okay? This was a stage that masculinity had to grow through and go through to come back. I think of maybe 10 years ago, there was Roosh V, right? And his huge, gigantic platform teaching men how to travel from city to city and sleep with women, scam them, and then dump them. And now, what's happened with him? He had a huge religious awakening, said none of this is appropriate, destroyed his own brand, took all his books down, denounced them, and said that is not the way to live. That is juvenile. Juvenile masculinity. Okay? Sneeko, Andrew Tate, going through pieces of masculinity. From juvenile masculinity now, perhaps, maybe into a more mature, secure masculinity that the world craves from us. Guys out there, Sneeko, Tate, Roosh, any of you, I would love to have a conversation with you to discuss your experience and discuss your vision and get men on board. We need to lead men into this next generation, into this next step, into mature, adult, secure masculinity. That's what's coming next. And I think you sense that. So let's work together to help them. If you guys are watching, reach out, okay? Authentic masculinity is for the betterment of ourselves and also the world. Mutually. Now, the whole world, fortunately, and I'm glad for this, the whole world is waking up to the idea that there may be more to masculinity than either an abusive patriarchy that plays boogeyman to feminism or a swaggering juvenile masculinity that encourages hedonism and selfishness without any scrap of responsibility, right? So if masculinity is an evil, and if it's important for safety and social well-being, and if it's not encapsulated by juvenile surrendering to desires, but rather by focusing on personal sovereignty and responsibility, and dare I say it, maybe love, what's the answer? Well, like I said, I believe that we are looking at a rebirth of masculinity. It suffered badly under the past generations. Many of the men died out or checked out, right? This left women to pick up the slack and to become masculine, and to provide and protect, which left them angry. Then they raised angry, fearful daughters who had to be masculine to survive, right? Don't trust men, they will abandon you. Don't trust men, they'll give up. Don't trust men, they'll just cheat on you. Don't trust men, they'll blah, 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 blah. Don't trust men, so become men instead because they have failed us. That was the messaging. Sometimes it was fair, sometimes it wasn't. A lot of times it wasn't. But those daughters then in turn had to raise sons who were afraid to question female authority. You're a man, you're going to hurt everybody, right? Do what we tell you. Be docile. Now we live in a world where men are simultaneously treated like defective girls and told to be docile and quiet and that they're the problem. But they're also being commanded to rise up, be a perfect partner, be a leader. Without being ruffling any feathers. Be a leader, but don't actually lead me. Be a man, but not really a man. Right? Be dominant, but not really dominant. Men are confused. Okay? Now, I believe that men like Tate and men like Sneeko and other red pill folks who were forerunners of the rebirth of masculinity in the hands of men, right? They were forerunners of this. They were guiding masculinity from childhood into adolescence. Okay? Tate, Sneeko, Roosh, a lot of men actually, beyond them even, not even just outside of red pill circles, but they were guiding childhood for guiding masculinity from childhood into adolescence. Wonderful. Not masculinity controlled by angry women, like childhood, but masculinity defined by emerging men. That began in that juvenile sense, teenage masculinity, rebelling against being controlled. We saw that in the girls are stinky goblins, ha ha ha, red pill sort of messaging, right? Angry, fearful, nasty. It went way beyond sneaky goblins, by the way, but all kinds of things. But it went way beyond that because they were pushing back against women and control. But with Sneeko, Tate, and others now moving past that, looking for the next step, I believe we are all sensing the shift to something way more meaningful. So what is next? What does a more authentic, mature masculinity look like? I believe it's going to be called secure masculinity. Okay? Mature masculinity. Secure, mature masculinity. This comes from a pairing of two things. Number one, secure attachment. Now, most men, about half of men at least, grow up with insecure attachment. They don't even know how to connect to other men. Or connect with women. They don't know how to connect, to share, to give love, to build relationships, to build sustaining bonds. They don't even know how to do that. So to be masculine and secure, you have to have secure attachment. I call it this, personal sovereignty. You must have personal sovereignty and you must have the ability to take on your responsibilities, the ones you choose to take on. You cannot have personal sovereignty if you give in to fear, if you hate yourself, if you appease other people at the cost of your honor code, if you collapse into hedonism, if you're controlled by pleasure, if you're addicted to things. You cannot be sovereign. And that includes attachment problems. Okay? The brain chemistry is off. Your chemistry is off. Everything about you is off. To have personal sovereignty, you must be securely attached. To be securely masculine, you must have secure attachment. Okay? This looks like being objective about yourself. Here's who I am. I can accept it. I see my shortcomings. I'm working on them. I'm not enabling, but I accept where I'm at. I don't hate myself. I stick to my principles when I make decisions. I don't please other people. I'm not afraid of other people either. I reach out and I build relationships with them. I have clear boundaries and expectations with people without demanding and taking as much as I can from them. I build sustainable, mutually fulfilling relationships that are open and clear about what's being exchanged. Personal sovereignty. And then responsibility, right? Where you choose to engage with other people, you have responsibility. If that's pairing and peership and friendship, you have responsibilities. If that's taking on a partner and leading them, you have responsibilities. If you choose to have sex and children come from that, you have responsibilities. If you build a business, you have responsibilities to those you build contracts with, including your employees, including your partners. You have responsibilities. As a man moves through the world and takes on responsibility, his personal sovereignty allows him to maintain that responsibility because no one can trust him without personal sovereignty. Secure traits, clear, direct, honest, trusting, but with verification, clear boundaries, discipline, personal sovereignty. Masculine traits, clear, direct, strength-focused, capable, right? Married together. Secure attachment. Masculinity. Secure masculinity. Now, secure masculine men engage in friendship first. They don't dive into marriage with no friends, okay? Let's go back really quick. How did Rome form? Was it one dude and his wife, and then they had 50 babies and they built a... No. One guy, actually two guys, the story goes, Romulus and Remus, disagreed on where they would build their village. They fought. One of them died. Romulus killed his brother Remus and said, all right, I am building my village called Rome for Romulus, right here. But I have no people. I will go out and collect a bunch of girls. No. He said, I'm going to go get men. And the men that nobody else wants, the men who don't have a home. We will band together under the same banner and build our village together. Men. Friendship, accountability, strength, the ability to build and to be accountable to each other and to be strong together. Masculine men who are secure engage in honest male friendship for accountability, sharing solutions, building together, and being better men together. And they are secure together. Okay? Then they lean into romantic relationships as well. They go find a partner. Probably they don't date 50 women. Probably they don't just try to run around and sleep with whoever they can. That's foolish. That's hedonism. They look for the right relationship pattern that makes sense for their long-term goals. That might mean finding one partner, selectively searching for the right woman for you, pushing the others aside because you are not interested. No, thank you. That's a waste of time. I don't want to risk creating children with someone that I cannot stand and then raising children who are broken from somebody who hates me. No, thank you. Secure masculinity is not about just engaging willy-nilly in the world, having fun, hedonism. Not to spit on anybody who is out there having sex. Not saying that. But secure masculinity is not about empty pleasure for risk, massive risk. Okay? Committed relationships. At least clear expectations and clear boundaries. Okay? And then filtering properly. Understanding that that's the person you're going to probably be with and you're going to have to trust them. So don't do anything with them until you trust them. Not rewarding bad behavior. Not settling for awful relationships and bad compatibility. This is not telling men, right? A lot of people will argue and say, suck it up, marry the woman who has 10 babies from 10 different baby daddies, and now she's tired and she's ready to settle. No, I'm not saying that. Pick a woman who's a good match for you. Honestly. Okay? And build your life with her and build toward a goal together. Secure men have a reason to build romance. Okay? Marriage has a purpose. Professionally, securely masculine men are improving. They're growing. They look for places to advance. They look for places to build something that matters. That could mean building their own company. It could mean rising through the ranks, becoming executive. It could mean that you love the position you're at, so you become better and better and better at it, right? But they also network with other people who are quality. They make sure they don't just get stuck at a crap dead-end company that hates them, who's going to dump them in about 5 years and leave them miserable. They're looking for a company that means something. Ancient samurai used to look for a lord who had good, honor and qualities, and then they would be proud from serving him. Think of that. Masculine men who are secure, because you have a goal, because you have friends, because you have people that you care about, because you're growing and advancing. Society falling apart is bad. You don't enjoy the decline. That juvenile masculinity says, enjoy the decline, free sex. No. You push back against bad elements of society by being a beacon of stability and security and strength and order, where people can come and shelter with you and under you, and you build a structure over them. A group of secure masculine men rising into positions of leadership can turn the ship of culture into a golden age. That's how it happens, you guys. They can reestablish order and peace through clear honor codes. Go back in time to ancient cities. Hammurabi, okay? You want to live in my safe city. I would love for you to come live in my safe city, says Hammurabi. If you're going to do that, I have pillars throughout the city with my code of laws written in multiple languages so anyone can understand what to do and what not to do. If you do this, this is what will happen. If you don't do this, this is what will happen. Follow these laws, everything will be okay. You can thrive here, and I am responsible for protecting you. If you don't wish to follow these laws, there's the gate. Go live outside with the wolves. Go build your own city somewhere else. Go build Rome. Okay? Hammurabi. Order. Peace. Clear laws. Protection. You create society where people are expected to follow that honor code. And then they receive your safety and protection. It's not about exploiting people. It's about calling people to live a more virtuous life. Right? You can do this. Now, others calm down in your presence because they know you're not trying to just scam them and get things out of them. Women, for example, can calm down completely in your presence because they know you're not waiting to trade them in the moment they make one little mistake, the moment they're not fun enough, right? You're not binging them on like dopamine. You're not snorting women like cocaine. You are having relationships with them, honest relationships, clear codes. Do this, don't do this. Everything will be peaceful and you will be safe and taken care of for life. Women can calm down. Friends can calm down in your presence because they always know what to expect from you. They can trust you. They are safe. They are proud to be your friend. Your honor keeps you self-policing so they don't have to police you. Everybody can calm down. Your business partners know that you're not out to screw them out of every dollar you can get, so they can calm down and build a sustaining, self-fulfilling, mutually fulfilling relationship with you. Hey, you know what? I didn't get the maximum out of this deal, but that's okay. We both benefited and our relationship continues. So I'm happy with getting, 80% of what I wanted. They're happy. You're happy. Everybody wins. Secure masculinity creates order and stability, and people flock to it, and it establishes order and peace, and society begins to turn in the right direction. Now, this rebirth of masculinity is the only thing that makes this possible, and we must advance beyond juvenile masculinity into secure, mature, adult masculinity. We must. So, we can call it secure attachment. We can call it secure masculinity, mature masculinity. We can call it being the new Hammurabi, the new Hammurabi man. We can call it that, right? But here's the point. Secure masculinity is the next stage for all men in this world. From Andrew Tate and Sneeko to Jordan Peterson, right? From swaggering men to thinking men, right? I'm not here to vilify anybody. I'm showing their previous work led to this maturation. Tate, his swaggering juvenile masculinity emerged and dragged men from the shadow of women into adolescence. Okay? Maybe without Tate, we wouldn't have been talking much about masculinity. But that's not the end goal. That's not the end of the evolutionary process or the growing process. Jordan Peterson, right? Dr. Jordan Peterson. Without him, men wouldn't be thinking as much as they are right now. We're seeing this reemergence, right, of critical thinking, of Socratic questioning, of pursuing, of learning, this love of learning that he's fostered in so many men. He doesn't have to be perfect. Neither of these men is perfect. Far from it. And they would agree. But I think they've helped take masculinity into adolescence. And I think they're helping call men, like I am, into secure adult masculinity. Their work led to here. Let's take things the rest of the way. Secure masculinity is the next step, as masculinity emerges from the shadow of fearful women and a fearful world seeking to smother us in the crib. We've become adolescents who cannot be smothered. Now we must become adults who act instead of react. And not angry, bitter adults, but men who act with reason and logic and create order and stability so that others and ourselves can be safe and fulfilled. What fulfills us as men also creates order and safety for others. Now it's time for men to take their place again as men, for perhaps the first time in a century. And to get there, we need to become secure and masculine. So if you out there right now watching this are ready to do this, I have a lot of resources ready to help you. So sound off in the comments if you're ready to step forward into secure masculinity, right? This is going to take a lot of men. It's going to take a lot of men to build this movement. Start with secure attachment, and then let's build from there. Because this world needs secure masculinity more than it needs anything. Perhaps more than masculinity maybe has ever been needed. We need it to restore peace and order and safety for all. Mature men are needed. Secure men are needed now. So, two parts to that: secure and masculine. And again, that breaks down into personal sovereignty and responsibility. All equally important pieces, okay? Secure and masculine. Now, we've taken these first steps already together. It's time to take the next step. Every generation has its challenge. This is ours, to move from juvenile masculinity into secure, adult, mature masculinity. It is time to take up the call and become the men that we were born to be, that this world needs us to be. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. And to see how masculinity makes you popular, for example, in dating, how the world responds to it, check out my next video, Embrace Your Masculinity, and you will transform your dating life. You will be shocked out there, guys, how your dating life can become that easy just by embracing your masculinity. And at the same time, how fulfilled you are going to be. I'll see you in that video.